Have you ever been overwhelmed with all of the threat intelligence data like IPs, domains, bad reputed IPs, bad reputed domains, IOCs, indicator of compromise, indicator of attack, and all those stuffs keep on coming to you? I have been overwhelmed with those all of the information because those are the things which are keeps on coming via email, then via vendors, via then websites, then all of those news, all of those blogs, and I am like, what the hell I'm gonna do with all of this, because I do not have any of the platform which can give me all of the things in a correlated format and I can do a meaningful search with them, right? So in today's episode I'm gonna show you one such FOSS tool which not only can get rid of all of your headache, which can keep track of all of your threat intelligence data, and using that tool you can create meaningful analytics, you can search the data and bulk, you can create your own threat feed, and you can give all of those stuffs back to the community. This is an awesome tool and I'm gonna show you from starting to the end how you can basically use this tool, how you can create this tool, how you can install this tool. Not only that, I'm gonna show you how you can basically enrich the data using the tool from different other vendors, different other threat feeds. So it is the time for you to become intelligent and handle the threat intelligence in an intelligent way. So we are starting right now. So this is the tool, guys, and this is the first login page that you will get after either you install MISP or you just download the over section or whatever maybe. So currently, as you see, this is the VM that I am currently running, and I am having the VM here up and running. So this is currently running in my local machine, and you see the IP address over here. So we'll come that like how to install this thing, what are the things prerequisite required to install, and all those stuffs in later section of this video. First, let us concentrate how actually you can operationalize this MISP platform and how you can use this, right? Okay, so let me quickly log into the MISP and let me currently show you how the things actually happens here. Okay, so admin@admin.test, this is the by default user name that you will get anyway when you install this particular sim in tool, and password you can change it. So we'll come those sections later. So now when you are logged into the section, you will see this beautiful page. What is this basically happening? So there are a lot of things happening. Let me zoom out a little bit so that it can be visible for you guys. Now as you see, these are all the threat feeds. Okay, so now if you remember that we are dumping threat intelligence from using Twitter bot, right? Now you can tell me that, hey, those are threat intels that currently we are dumping from Excel, and how even you memorize them, and is there any local platform which is useful for you, and you can share all those threads, you can keep a track of it, and believe me, if you are also working in some kind of incident, so there are a lot of things that you need to take care of, like mentioning the IP address, what is the reputation of the IP address, if that IP or domain or IOC particularly is anytime related to any of the TTPs and any of those stuffs, all those things, right? So now this tool resolves all the problem for us. Now what is basically happening here? Now if you come here to this thing, you will see, if I just go to the home section, so what you will see, these are all kind of feeds that is available with me. Okay, so now you see, if you just click on these IDs, so what will happen, this ID, these are the feeds that is coming from sources, right? So you see here you see the info is coming from fishcore.feed. Okay, so I'll show you how to enable the feeds and all those stuffs. But what is basically happening, so this particular info or this particular feed is giving me all these IOC's information, and you see so this is basically collaborating all of your feeds into a single page. Okay, so now if you go back to the home, you will see the similar kind of thing, and you can so these are all the tags that comes by default, and if you just hover over around it, you will see that what is the resource of it, all those threat feeds might not be directly related to having some IOCs or IO indicator of compromise, right? Some can be also like, an article or something like that. So you will see all those stuffs, like you will see the attack pattern. So let's go over into that. And if you see the operation harvest, okay, so deep dive long-term campaign. So this is a long-term campaign kind of situation, and what is coming from, it's coming from its generate thread feed. Okay, so what is basically happening, so this tool like MISP is already going deep dive to identify what are the attack patterns. Okay, so there are different attack patterns, and you see there are articles as well. Now if you just open to this particular article, you will see the McAfee article what has been published about this particular TTP, and you see it is opening, so it will take some time. So meanwhile we will see that there are a lot of hash values which are like, like you will see the comment section also. Just let me zoom in a little bit, and you will see that particular thing over here. Now if you see this particular comment area over here, so what is this hash is particularly telling us. So you see, if I just hover around over here, you see the Yara query. You see there are like what is that particular exe or particular binary or particular process which is related to this particular hash. Okay, you will see a lot of things happening over here. So down the line, you might not need to memorize all of those things, so you have a tool which can keep track of each and every aspect of you, right? So now how we can basically utilize this particular tool. Okay, so you see these are all events that is coming and that is generating at the back of your head. Okay, so you do not need to worry about anything. So what we can do, we can like come here and we can add one event. Okay, so let's do one thing. I have some intelligence data with me. So intelligence data, as you see, this is some kind of intelligence data for me. So these are some kind of IOCs. Okay, so what we can do, we can simply copy this whole thing. Let's say this is an like these IOCs, or you have seen this from any kind of threat feed. Maybe your Twitter bot gave you all those IOCs, right? Now you do not know that if there is any past incident, or if there is anything like any past TTPs or anywhere where these IOCs are matched. Okay, so now let's see how basically this MISP can help us. Okay, so now what we can, so let's say I'll like as like SOC incident 2, just to give us a demo. So I'll hit submit, and now you see this particular event has been created. Okay, so but there is no logs over here, or you can see there is like no attribute to it, right? So what we can do, we can click to this particular plus button and you can choose individually. Okay, so like network traffic, payload type, then if you have one particular IP address, you can click that. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna show you how to do it bulk, because that's the current, or that's the practical use case that you might be having if you are working on a SOC, right? So like the way I have just shown you the TTPs or like the IOCs I am having. So what I can do, I can open this particular if I show you, I can open this particular tree or like this open text area. So what it will give me, it will give me this open area. Now I will just paste it whatever I have copied from this particular my threat intelligence like threat intelligence data. Okay, so I might be having it from some incident. Now what I'll do, I'll just hit submit. And what this tool will do for me, as you see, this is particularly categorizing all of the values. You see, this is all of the network activity like destination IP address. Now you see this is a URL, so it is capturing properly what is a URL. And if you just go here and if you just show it to it, so you see this is a hash value and it is showing clearly. So you do not need to do anything, you just need to dump your IOC over here and it will categorize everything. Okay, so now what we can do, let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go to the bottom of it and I'll hit this submit attributes. Okay, so once I submit the attribute, it will go to this particular area. Just let me refresh this particular page for you, and you see this like for my events, for my SOC inc2 incident 2 event, you see all of the value has been populated. Now you see there are related events already MISP is giving me. Now if you hover around to here, you will see that there is one, like, okay, so let me do one thing. Let me remove my face from here, and that is visible for you properly. Okay, so now what you will see here, you see there is a relation events over here, and if you see MISP is giving me that relation table. Okay, so you see SOC incident 1. Okay, so what is happening here? So this particular URL, this particular thing has been visible for me in SOC like incident 1 as well. If I open to that particular thing, so what I can see here, what has happened in SOC incident 1. Okay, so this is kind of correlation over here. Now if you come here, this is another SOC event that we have in, like, past. Okay, so now if I go back to this particular thing, you will see that these all events like network activity 342, 346. So what is 346? Let me just scroll to it. So it could be a different event, might not be related to directly to one of our like incident directly, but it could be related to one event that MISP has seen in past. Okay, so while that is loading, we will just go back to the previous one, and if we keep scrolling to, you will see all of these are giving me the hint that all of these IOCs somehow they were related to 342 and 346 these events. Okay, now one also interesting thing is that why it is giving me. So yeah, so it's loaded now. You see URL host malware URL feed. Now if you see this particular area, it was giving me all of the related feed, like you see ThreatFox IOCs, fish core feed. What are the all feeds from which this particular IOC is matching? Now you see there is a pivot graph is also available, and you see these are all those stuffs that is available in this 346 number of events. So this is an event tag. Basically this is not an incident that I have worked on. So this is a threat feed that is coming directly from URL host. Okay, so what like MISP is telling me, the threat or the IOCs or IOA, whatever you may call it, whatever I have submitted as part of my SOC incident 2, they has been seen on this particular malware feed as well. Okay, so by which I can, if I can scroll through it, I can understand that what are the other related IOCs that has been seen by the same attacker or the same domain or same TTP. You can say like that, right? So you can see all of those stuffs over here. Okay, so now one most important stuff, which is you can see if you just hover around quickly over here, you will see there are like this particular, if you just simply hovering over here. So let me again remove my face from here, and I am just hovering around, and you see there is a like link is also available, and you see the detection ratio of it, right? If I just simply open it to the virus total, so what I have done on back of my head, so I have enriched the data. Okay, so I'll show you how you can enrich the data. But if you see, if you are related to somehow these particular hash values or this particular thing, so you can see directly, you can come here and you can see that what are the virus total feeds that is also available for this particular threat, right? So it is quite interesting at this point of time. And now if you go back to your home section, you will see these all those stuffs are keep on populating. Okay, so there are ways by which you can actually either search a single IP address. Okay, let us do one thing. Let us take that IP address information that we have worked on in our previous incident, right? Previous case, you remember that was our SOC case that we have worked upon. Okay, so this particular thing was our 185 something. Okay, let me note it down somewhere. Okay, so this is the threat intelligence data. What I can do, I can simply note it down. What is what? 185, then 183, then 99, and then 115, right? Okay, and another one was 45.32.211.207. okay, so these two IPs we have seen in our past incident. So if you haven't watched it yet, so check out right now what was the incident. So I have explained how you can basically do network forensics and you can identify all those stuffs. Okay, So this is done. So what we can do, we can add an event over here, and let's say sock inc3, okay, and we will go from here. And if you just go to this again, so I'll put it as a bulk, because I do not want to put it as a single IP address or something. So I'll hit simple submit, and I will submit this attribute. Okay, so it is simply matter of second, it will try to show me what are the relations of it, and if there is any related events that MISP has already seen. Okay, so I believe, so it might take some time to load. Let me refresh the page for a time being, and let me see if I am having anything of it. Okay, so this thing has not given me anything. Okay, so that means the thread feeds that I have entered, or I have incorporated to my MISP right now. So MISP haven't seen any of these IPs to any of the IOC feed. But that doesn't mean that this is not suspicious. Okay, so you need to keep on working on all of your thread feeds, all of your thread IOCs, to keep it up to date. Okay, so now let me show you one thing. Okay, so there is an option to enrich data. Okay, so what does that mean? Enrich data, it means that you see there are a lot of events available over here. So what I can do, probably I can simply enrich it over DNS. So what this will do, I have submitted 2 of my IPs, right? So it will try to correlate with the DNS feeds, like whatever available for us. Let me do it for URL host as well, because as I remember in our last incident, we have seen in URL host it was a quack bot. Okay, so and what I can do, okay, so that's to okay, IP as that's also I can do, reverse DNS I can do, and I can enrich the data. So what it will keep on doing, it will try to go to this IP address, and it will try to enrich your data if you have anything. Okay, so just look at this. Okay, look at this. I haven't done anything. I have just enriched the data, and now you see it is enriched via IPsand module. Okay, so what it is giving me, it is giving me the details of the IP address, the ASN number, and if you see it is okay, so it is URL host module, it has been also enriched. Now you see there is an dat value that is available by URL host. Okay, so which is present in URL host. Isn't it very interesting that I haven't done anything else? I have just enriched the data, and what it is giving me, that it is telling me, by the way, like whatever URL host has seen to this IP address. Okay, so if I go to this, so I haven't seen anything about this one. So now if you come here to this administration section, and if you go to the, just open the job, what it will do, it will show you that what are the job that you have just run. So I have run this enrichment, right? So you see this is completed. So just by opening this area, you will know that your enrichment has been completed. Okay, or just you need to wait for some time. Okay, so now again, so if you hover around, as I told you, right, it is quite, isn't it very interesting that you are not, actually you don't need to do anything else. So you have to come here, you have to dump your data, and you can already know, like if there is any past incident that has happened, and if there is anything like or you are working on a current thread feed and you haven't watched that, because in our memory you gonna never memorize it, and we have to be intelligent, because this is a threat intelligence, right? Now if you are not working in intelligent way, how you can manage as threat intelligence, right? So what we are basically happening, forget about any ticketing tool, forget about anything tracking manually, install this particular tool into your arsenal, and what you can do, you can just enrich and you can just enable the feeds. And one thing also, if I can show you right away before going to the installation steps, if you come here, you will see that there is an event graph. Okay, so this is also very much interesting. Okay, so there, if you see that there are some kind of event graph is also present here, like event timeline also present here, it will take some time to load. Okay, so you can give it some time, and if there is anything like graph or any correlation happening between those two events, you will see that evident over here. Okay, so we can do one thing, we can go back, and probably we can open this particular thing, and let us see that if there is anything available. Okay, so yeah, I'm loading the event graph. Okay, there is nothing as such available. But event timeline is also a beautiful thing. You see, these are the actual event timeline when MISP has seen this particular event has been dumped on either like MISP or any other tool. Okay, so this particular thing will give you a very detailed input, like what was the timeline of it. Okay, so what when you have submitted over it, like you, if you go to the time scope over here, you will see that first seen, last seen. So whenever this IP address has been seen first, when this IP address has been seen last, and similarly the other domains as well over here. Okay, so quite interesting. And now there are some other options also available. Now if you go to the correlation graph, now you see this is a major thing, this is a major development, right? Isn't it? So what is this basically happening now? Okay, so let me do one thing, let me pull this particular thing up over here. So what we have done over here, so now this particular thing might look to be some kind of, you know, gibberish to you, but believe me, this is a very interesting, guys. So what we can do over here, okay, let me area. Now you see there are events. Okay, 560 was my event, and you see there it is particularly creating the event graph. What is basically the relation and how is this relation happening? So if you have ever worked on Multego, or if you have ever worked on like simple VirusTotal graph, right? So VirusTotal keep on giving you this kind of instances, right? So I'm not gonna open each and everything, but you get the idea already, right? So what is basically happening, so you have submitted this particular event. Okay, so this was the this was one IP address and this was another IP address. Okay, so you have given these two IP address as like in your feed. Okay, so now what MISP is doing, it is not only creating the correlation, but it is also creating the graphs for you to identify what are the different thing that is visible to MISP. Okay, now you will see that this is one event ID for us. Now you see this is one event ID for us, and you will see all the correlation is happening already over here. Isn't it very interesting? Now if you click this attack meter matrix, okay, let me go back to here. Now you will see this is another interesting part. So whatever the attack meter framework that you have, you know, the data that you have submitted, so what MISP is doing, so it is already giving you whatever the related this SOC incident is related to attack meter framework and all those stuffs. Okay, so now if you have got already all of those stuffs in your hand, it's now a piece of cake for you that you just operationalize it. So we are already operationalizing some kind of IOC, right? We are not tracking it manually. We are coming to this MISP and we are dumping our data as simple as that, and MISP is doing all of the stuffs for us. Okay, so yeah, that's all. And now let's go to the installation section if you have to install this particular MISP in an AWS instance. Okay, so I have spinned up one AWS instance over here and I have logged into that box. Okay, so I have just logged into that. So as you see, this machine is fresh. So if I just show you quick ls, so there is nothing and I am inside home.ubuntu. Okay, so let me clear up my screen. And as a first step, or before any installation, so what you need to do, we need to do a sudo apt get update. Okay, so that's quite required for any kind of installation. Okay, so now this is the official documentation if you want to install MISP on any Ubuntu machine. Okay, so now my AWS instance is a Ubuntu machine. As you can see here, it is an Ubuntu 20.1. So and the same I am gonna do it over here. Okay, so I'll leave the link in the description, don't worry about it. So what I need to do, basically I need to get this particular script installed on my machine. Okay, so I'll simply copy it over here and it is done. So let me clear up my screen and let me paste it over here. So this will pull down the repository over here. Now if I do a ls, there is nothing because this is pulling down everything in the temp folder. Okay, so if I do a quick ls in temp, you will see install.sh is over here. Okay, so what the next we need to do, we need to simply bash this down. Okay, because it's a bash script. So what these MISP folks has done, they have done a beautiful job so that you can get rid of any kind of hazardous thing of the downloads of the install and all those stuffs. Okay, so you simply run this bash and it is done, so you don't need to do anything else. But before even doing that, what are the available options available? So now if you simply run it in bash, you will see there are some options available. Okay, so if you want to click C, that is install only MISP core, MISP modules, M for mail to MISP, but I want to install everything. Okay, so what I am gonna do, I am gonna simply run it as -a. Okay, because I want to install everything. Now if you see that you can enter your own MISP base URL. Okay, because that's very important. Okay, so now what is my base URL? Now if I want to come here, you will see that this particular thing is my IP address and this is my public IP address, right? Now if you are installing this MISP into some kind of like local VM, so this will be local host for you. But what I am doing, I am installing this MISP in a AWS instance so that my teammates also can access this particular instance over the internet. Okay, so this will be my public IP address. So if you are installing is any kind of cloud, that has to be done. Okay, so now I will press as enter because I want to change it over here. Now you see base URL, otherwise this is the base URL. As I told, this is the local IP address over here. Okay, so I need to write down HTTPS, then start, then this thing, then paste my IP address because that's my IP address, and I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, so at this point of time, I do not need to do enter anything. There is one simple change that that this thing gonna ask us, because this thing also create one user which is a MISP user on back of it, because that has to run on MISP. So it will ask for our permission whether it can install it on MISP or not. Okay, so that's all this tool will gonna ask, and we will wait for some time because this installation gonna take around 10 to 15 minutes. It's on AWS, so don't need to worry about bandwidth or all those stuffs. Okay, so yeah, it will take some time and I will show you what are the things that is required. So there are some errors, there are some things that will be coming up into your console, but don't worry about it. At the end it gonna run because it has been tested properly, and I have done this installation a lot of times. If you are facing any issues, you are feel free to ask on their GitHub repo. So while it is running, so let me quickly show you their main GitHub repository. So this is their MISP project main GitHub repository, and you see this is the link from where you can actually download their OVA files. Okay, so I have downloaded the OVA file, the 2.4.141. so this is the OVA, and I was running on a VMware. Okay, so that was the first step that I have shown you everything. So that was in my local machine. So if you want to install it locally, if you feel free to download that, or if you are like interested like me to install it on a AWS or anything, any cloud, so you can follow along with me. Okay, so this is the Git repository. Don't worry, leave in the like link in the description. So now let's go back to see what is happening. Okay, so we'll wait for some time once is giving us that particular hint to change the user. Okay, now as you see, it is saying me MISP has, because in my machine there is no user called MISP. Okay, so there is no user called MISP. Want to create, why? Or you do not need to want to create. But remember, if you want to run MISP without any hazard, so you have to give this permission. Okay, so I'll just give yes. So what it will do, it will create, as I told you, it will create another user on this box called MISP, and it will log into the box using that user. Okay, so at this point of time, we do not need to do anything else. All will be taken care of by this installation script. We will come back when done. Okay, so now as you see, the MISP installation is completed now, and if you go here, if you see MISP is installed, access it here. Now in the initial phase, if you haven't given this IP address or whatever the domain on which you need to run MISP, you will see that this particular access area is blank. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to simply go to this section and we just need to run our MISP. Okay, so this was our previous one. So I'll go to this particular link and I will open that up. Okay, yeah, as you see, yeah, obviously it is a uh, server error because it because I don't have an proper SSL certificate, right? So this is one self-signed certificate using by MISP. Okay, this has been given by MISP. Now if I go to here, as you see, it will give me the login page. Okay, as we have seen in the previous case. Now if I go back to here, you will see that the default credential over here, as I told you, the admin@admin.test, this is the user ID, and by default password is admin. Okay, so I'll enter that here as well, and I will type here admin. Now if I log into here, so on the first login, what I need to do, I need to change my the login password. Yeah, so it is logged in now and it is asking me to change my password. So I'll quickly change my password, and just remember, if you hover around here quickly, you will see that what are the minimal requirement for it to change your password. So minimal length 12, and there is the complexity of the password. So make sure you advise, like, you abide by that rule. Otherwise MISP won't gonna ask, like, MISP won't gonna allow you to change that password. Okay, so yeah, once that is done, so if you are in an organization, so what you can do, this is the org name, by default org name. Once you logged into the MISP and it is the fresh and first install, you will see that the org name over here. But if you are inside, like if you have different organization or different kind of stuff, so you can come here to this particular section, you can list all of those stuffs, and you can use the, like, you can create your own org name. Okay, so those stuffs you can do all of here from this administration area. Now if you go to the home section over here, you will see that there is no event, there will be no event available, because this is a fresh install, and as I told you, there is no event. The event that we were seeing in our previous use case, so that was already a loaded instance. Okay, so now how basically you can keep on coming, like you can enable those feeds for you. Okay, so now if you go to the sync action section, you will see that there are list of feeds. Okay, so I'll hit that list of feeds section, and it will give me whatever the default feeds and whatever the other fields that are available to MISP. Okay, and which I can basically enable. So now you see there are all feeds over here. Now if I scroll to it, so you will see that there are 71 total available feeds. So in my previous VM, I was having around 67 and odd, because that might be a previous one. This one is a newer version. So what you can do as per your needs. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's enable these first maybe 5 or 6 feeds. Okay, so these are the feeds. Okay, so now once you click them, you just need to enable the selected one. Okay, so once you enable the selected one, it will ask you for a reconfirmation. Once you do that, so the feeds are now enabled for you. And the last thing you need to do, you need to click this particular thing, which means fetch and store all of the event data. So that means whichever feeds that you are asking MISP to feed for you, it will store the all of the event data, and it will keep on storing all of these on the server. Okay, now if you go to the administration section and if you click here the jobs, you will see that whatever the jobs, that means we have just enabled all these features, right? So now you will see that there are queued and there are waited and there are something like already completed area. Okay, so now if you go back and if you just click the home area, now you should see these all of the events now keep on populating. Okay, so this is basically how you actually keep on doing it. Okay, so now it will take some time if you keep on loading on those. Now you see this particular thing has went into the running state, and you see all of these are completed. Now these are these are things just changing their status. Okay, from waiting to completed. And if you just keep on waiting, so all of these feeds gonna load for you, and whatever you are seeing, whatever the feeds, it will keep on populating for you. Okay, so now there are some other areas as well, like I have told you, right? So if you just click here, you will see that whatever the like this is an OSINT section, it is a cell shock scanning IP address from OpenDNS. Okay, now you will see that the taxonomy and all those stuffs are here. Now if you go here to this particular area like enrich event, so by default you will not see any enrichment available over here, what we are seeing in the VM. Okay, so what to enable this enrichment area, you need to go to this administration tab and you need to go to the server settings and maintenance over here. Okay, so now if you go to the server setting and maintenance, you will see that there are like MISP settings, MISP plugins, and all those stuffs are available. If you go to the MISP plugin section, you will see that the enrichment portion is available. Now once you are installing this MISP from this installation script, by default you are getting only these 12 plugins available. Okay, but there are scripts. If you go to their GitHub and if you just route to their extension section, there is a clip. You just need to install it and you just need to run it, how to enable those scripts on the same VM on which we have installed the MISP, and you will see these plugin settings will be available, like around 300 and odd some plugins, and you just need to enable all those plugins to have your data, like even to enable the enrichment feature for you guys. Okay, so now you see these feeds are getting populated, and you know there are a lot of things as you can do some automation. Come over here. So in terms of automation, you can use MISP API very frequently in some terms that you will see that if you don't want to come here to the MISP, because MISP is now working as like for your kind of a database where you are storing all of your threat intelligence, and it has the capability to enrich the data, correlate the data, and all those stuffs are already happening. Now if you want that, hey, I want some kind of brain on which I just want to query that, hey, this is the data that I am having, and hey MISP, tell me that if you have any feeds of my IOC. So I don't want to go to the login to the MISP and I don't want to add those stuffs over here. Okay, so you can simply do that if you can come here to this section, and if you can use their REST API search, it will be presented to you. Okay, so like that there are a lot of automations and lot of stuffs are available for us. So yeah, so that's pretty much all that I have to share and I have to show for this particular episode. So just remember, if you are working on a SOC and if you want to enhance your data efficiently and you want some kind of feature that, hey, I want to enrich my data and I want to do the threat intelligence stuff in an intelligent format, so MISP is your one and best friend. Okay, and it is the powerful tool, it is the open source tool, it has all the features, and if you just go to their GitHub repository, so you will see that there are hell lot of like community works that is being done by MISP people and all the security community. Okay, so they are keep on enabling their tools, they are keep on enabling their features, their plugins on all those stuffs. Okay, and let me know what are the things and what are the features that you are liking about the tool. If you have any query, if you want to understand any particular thing for MISP, feel free to post that in the comment area. I am happy to answer that. And don't forget that in the coming up episode we will be taking a look at the head of the MISP in terms of like we will go on the another step while we will install the Cortex and we will query MISP with the help of Cortex. Okay, and in the following up episode we will also try to install the TheHive project, which is another open source case management tool, and we will try to integrate all of these tool. We will try to create one elastic security SIEM, which is another open source. Then we will try to and as I told, we will try to install the TheHive. then the Cortex and MISP is already up and running. So we will try to incorporate everything and integrate everything all together so that you can have a full depth of your security operations solution at your hand, and you can present and you can keep on practicing and all those stuffs. Okay, so yeah, so I'll catch you guys next time. Stay healthy and stay safe.